I'm happy. I love who I am right now, but I'm not even close to the man that I'm working to become. So I need help and I need to get there and I need to do the work to do it. There's an old saying, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but something like, a journey of 1,000,000 miles starts with a single step. The first step is always the hardest, right? It's always hardest to just start. It's the biggest barrier that we all have in trying to grow and get better and improve and, start to become who we want to be. Hardest part is always starting. It's intimidating. It's scary. It's the hardest. In today's episode, we're going to talk about removing all the barriers that are preventing us from getting started so we can get going. Army of Great Men podcast. It's going to be a great episode. Let's go. So why is it so hard to start? Right? Like, why is it so hard to get started? In a lot of ways, it should be the easiest, right? You're motivated at the beginning. You can't wait to get going. But it's always the hardest. Well, why? It's because of fear, right? Fear is our biggest enemy. And I don't care what we're talking about here. I don't care if you are, thinking about starting a new career, if you want to get in shape, you want to lose weight, you want to learn how to play the guitar, you want to go do a bunch of personal work so you can be a better dad or husband or friend or man or whatever. Why is the hardest part just getting started? It's fear. It's fear that, you're going to show up at the gym and you're 100 pounds overweight. And you're going to think, everybody's looking at me. Everybody's looking at me and they think I'm a failure. I don't want to start playing guitar. I'm going to suck. Well, no shit, you're going to suck. You don't know how to play the guitar yet. Right? That's what makes it so hard. I don't want to take golf lessons. The golf pro is going to look at me like I'm awful. Well, yeah, why do you think there's golf pros? Why do you think that person has a job? It's because people have to start at the bottom. They have to do it and they need help in order to do it. So let's talk about the fears that hold us back, right? So the very first thing, and I'm gonna ask you to get a pen and a paper. If you need to pause this while you're getting ready, that's great. So hit pause, grab a pen and paper, and come back. So if you have your pen and paper, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about that voice in your head, that internal voice, that little asshole who holds you back. Call it your dark side, call it, whatever you want to call it, that shadow. I like to call him an asshole because he is an asshole. It's that little voice in your head that prevents you from getting up and doing stuff. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to draw a line down the middle of the page. And on the left side of the page, I want you to write down all of the things that little asshole says to you when you fail or when you screw up or whatever, right? What is that voice in your head? What are the things that you say to yourself when you're kicking the crap out of yourself? What does it say? Write it all down. And be honest, because you're the only one who's ever going to see it, right? Not going to send it to me. You're not like, this is for you. So write it all down. Call yourself a piece of shit, loser, failure, blah, 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 blah. You're never going to do it. Write it all down. Maybe pause this episode for a second while you're writing it down and then come back once you've got it all written down. Okay, so you've got it written down. Okay. Now I want you to read those things out loud. Read them. Read them out loud. And now I want you to write down a list on the right side of the page. And that list on the right side of the page, I want you to write down all of the people in this world that you would allow to speak to you the way, or to say to you those things that you wrote down on the left side of the page. Is there anybody in this world that you would let talk to you that way? Anybody? My guess is you have a whole bunch of things written on the left side of the page and nothing written on the right side of the page. Guys, the most important voice that you have is your own. It's that voice in your head. That is our most important voice. That's the one that matters the most. It carries the most weight. It's what's going to drive us to succeed or drive us to fail. So why would we use that voice to talk to ourselves in a way that we wouldn't let one other person on the planet talk to us? Like nobody. We would let nobody else talk to us that way. And yet we're going to use our most important voice to talk to ourselves in the way that we wouldn't let anybody else talk to us. It's crazy. What a waste of that voice. What a waste. So the first step, if you want to start, you want to get started on your journey. The very first step is we got to get control of that voice. Got to get control of it. We have to start using that voice to build us up instead of tearing us down. That's step one. Until you've done that, it's going to be very difficult to start moving forward. But once you do, you're going to be shocked how easy it is. The second thing you have to decide, and this is your decision, okay? This is your decision. You want to do this on your own, or do you want to let somebody help you? And it's up to you, right? You can do it on your own. Let's say you're trying to learn how to play the guitar. And I'm just going to use that because it's a real easy example, okay? You think it's going to be easier to figure it out all on your own? Or do you think it's going to be easier to get some help from somebody? And now let's apply that to other areas in your life, right? Let's apply that to parenthood or work, or I don't care what it is. What's holding you back from asking somebody to help you? Again, I bet it's fear. It's fear of being embarrassed. It's fear of looking weak in front of somebody that we know and trust, right? Well, let's look at it in a different way. Okay. So what is the thing that you're best at? The thing that you're really known for, right? Your best thing, the thing that you've really got a handle on. It's a natural talent. It's innate. It's whatever. And again, I don't care what it is. Everybody's got a thing. Everybody's got one thing, at least. Okay. So now imagine that somebody who doesn't know how to do that thing that you're really good at, what if they reached out to you one day and said, hey, I've noticed that you're really good at this. Will you teach me? Will you help me figure out how to be good at that? Because I want to be good at that too. Well, how would you look at that person who asked you for that help? Would you look down on them? Would you think, oh, what a loser, he doesn't know how to do this? Or would you think, fuck yeah, I'll help that person. They want to learn this? Absolutely, I'll help them. That's great. How would you feel about yourself in that scenario? How would you feel about yourself if somebody asked you to help you with that? Would you feel good about yourself? Would that make you feel good? Like, oh man, I get to help this person. Man, like that feel great. Of course it does. Because people are good people. You're a good person, right? I know you're a good person because you're listening to stuff like this. So of course you're going to feel good, and good people want to help other people. It's how they're wired. We all humans, we're good. We're good. Humans are innately good. There's assholes everywhere. Most of us are good people, and we want to help people. So you're not going to look at somebody asking you for help as a sign of weakness. You're not going to view it as a waste of your time. You're not going to view it as something that you don't want to do. It's the opposite. You're going to be honored. You're going to be proud of the person for reaching out for help. And you yourself are going to be honored for getting to be a part of sharing some of your knowledge with that person. What's the downside? So how do you think someone would react if you reached out to them for help? Think about it. Is the person you're reaching out to, are they a good person? Probably. Are they going to be honored that you reach out to them? Almost certainly. Will they help you figure out what you're trying to figure out faster and better than if you try to do it on your own? Definitely. What's the downside? There's so many people who look at accepting help as some sort of a form of weakness. It's not at all. It's one of the greatest forms of strength there is. So why do you think you're different than other people? Why do you think that other people are worthy of help, but you're not? Well, I think you should ask that little asshole voice in your head that's trying to convince you that you're not worthy of that help. And then I think you should tell that little asshole to take a hike because you're not welcome anymore. We're not doing it that way anymore. We should all have a very strict no asshole rule. I implemented one about 5 years ago. I don't let assholes in my life. He creeps up every once in a while, that little bugger in my head. But that's the biggest asshole I know, is the one that, lives in my head and tries to sabotage me and prevent me from going where I need to go. Tell that little asshole to beat it. Fuck off. You're not welcome here. We're not doing this. Beat it. Fuck off. You're gone. So many people believe that in order to get help, to get coaching, to get whatever, you have to spend, obscene amounts of money and do this and that. And there are some really great coaches out there who, some coaches charge an arm and a leg. Some coaches are very, very cheap. And if you have a life coach or you have the means to hire a life coach, do it. I have a life coach, the best. I love it. I'm going to have her on one day. Her name's Helen. You'll love her. She's great. Absolutely incredible woman. I've never had a conversation with her that she couldn't help me with. It's great. So, if you have the means to hire somebody like that in your life, do it. You might have to try a few before you find the one that's right for you. But do it for sure. But for those of you who maybe don't have the financial means to, hire coaching like that or whatever, it doesn't have to cost a bunch of money, right? When you're getting started, it could cost you a cup of coffee. So if you're thinking about, well, which area of my life do I want to improve, right? And again, I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter. Which area do you really want to improve in? Write down a list of the people who are best at the thing or things that you want to get better at. And then call them and be direct. Call them and say, hey, I've noticed that you're really good at this. I want to get good at it too. Can I buy you a coffee? I want to talk to you. They're not going to say no. They're not. And even if they did, fuck them. Who cares? There's others, but they won't. Ask them to mentor you. Ask them to give you some of their time. They'll do it. I promise. They will. Price of a cup of coffee. They're not going to want something in return for it. They're going to be honored because you know what? Chances are somebody helped them at some point too, and they've probably been waiting for a chance to give back. So let them. And then you know what? One day you'll give back to somebody too. Pay it forward. It's a wonderful gift. If you look at the most extraordinary people in the world, the most extraordinary people that you know, every one of them has mentors. They might not call them mentors, but that's what they are. They're mentors. They have mentors and coaches, and some of them are paid professionals, and some of them are just people that they admire who know a bunch of stuff. Tony Robbins has a coach. Tony Robbins has mentors. Go down the line. Like, write a list of the most impactful people that you see in the world today. Every one of them have coaches and mentors. Every single one of them. Plural. You notice how I used, like, not one, they have multiple. So if the greatest people you know still need help, still need coaching, and still need guidance, and they still need people in their life to help them figure stuff out, if the greatest people you know need that and want that and use that, what makes you so special you think you don't need that? We all do. We all need that coaching and guidance. Every one of us. And again, this isn't a weakness, needing help. It's literally the greatest strength you can have is being humble enough to know that you're not where you want to be, and hungry enough to go and get it with the help of others. So, people ask all the time, well, how do I take that first step? How do I start the process and start down this journey that seems so daunting? Well, those are the first two things. Get rid of that little asshole in your head. Step one. Step two, get some help. Let great people help you. They will. They want to. They'll be honored. They'll be so proud of you for asking. So let them help. You can do it. I know you can. One of my favorite speeches ever, the first time I heard it, I was actually really turned off by it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a speech that Matthew McConaughey gave. He won some award. I can't remember which one. It was like either Golden Globes or maybe his Oscar or something. And he talked about who his hero was. Who's your hero? He said, my hero is me 10 years from now. And there were a bunch of people in the crowd that sort of laughed like, oh my God, can't believe he said that. Some people said that he was extremely arrogant when he said that. Some people thought that it meant that he had this huge ego. When you really think about it, it's the most humble thing ever. Because what's he saying? He's saying that while I love who I am today, I can't wait to look in the mirror and see who I'm going to be in the future. I can't wait to find out who I'm going to be 10 years from now. And he talked about how he knows he's never, ever going to achieve that version of himself that he sees out there 10 years down the road. He's never going to achieve that. It's an unattainable goal because he's like, his goals for himself are so big and so lofty, it would be impossible for anybody to achieve them. So you tell me what's more arrogant. The person who says, nope, this is as good as I'm ever going to be. I don't want to improve. I don't want to grow. I don't want to become somebody better and different than the one I am right now. Why would I want that? I got everything figured out. I'm good. Or, man, I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being who I want to be. I'm happy. I love who I am right now, but I'm not even close to the man that I'm working to become. So I need help and I need to get there and I need to do the work to do it. Which of those comments is arrogant? That's all he's saying. When he says that his hero is himself in 10 years, what he's saying is, I'm not even close. But I'm going to be. I'm going to do that work. And I'm going to improve every day, both with the work I'm doing and with the help of others. I'm going to get there. I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to do it. It's the most humble thing I've ever heard. But at first glance, it comes across as arrogant and egotistical, and it's not at all. Like, not even close. Guys, there's greatness in every one of you. If you're listening to this, there's greatness in you somewhere. There's something in you that's great. And that thing that's great, it doesn't matter what society thinks of that. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of it but you. Maybe it's as simple as, you're a great dad. Maybe it's as simple as that. And you want to work on that. Maybe there's a talent that you have that, you've never really unlocked. You've never really let loose. And you know what it is. You know. What's held you back from pursuing it? It's probably fear. Almost certainly. Guys, we got to let that greatness out. I call this thing the army of good men. Although we're all, you're good men. It's the army of great men. Because you're great. It's in there. And the world needs great men. Society's doing everything they can to keep us down. They really are. They made it a sin to be a strong masculine man. Not playing that game. You're great. It's time to be great. None of that starts until you do. You got to start. And you can do it. I know you can. When you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do in your life to be great, there's a trick. The trick is you got to do what you love. Doesn't mean that everything you do to get there is going to be something that you love. Not at all. Sometimes you're going to have to do some hard work and things that are uncomfortable. In fact, it's a certainty you're going to have to do that at some point along the way. But if it's all in a general pursuit of that thing that you love, the thing that that you're the most passionate about, you'll get there. And it won't be work in the end because it's going to be something that you're so passionate about and that you love. I would highly, highly recommend that you listen to the Steve Jobs commencement speech at Stanford. I'm going to paraphrase. I'll tell you, kind of what it's about. But basically what he talks about is he talks about how he's talking to this graduating class at Stanford and how, so you think you've got this all figured out, right? As students, you've got your life figured out. You've got your degree, you've got your education now. Now you've got life figured out and you're going to go and you've got this map and you're going to go chart this course and exactly where you're going to go. He told a story about when he went to university. So he went to university, I think for, 1 or 2 years, a couple of years. And in his first year, he signed up for a calligraphy class. And you think, well, Steve Jobs taking calligraphy, like what was basket weaving taken, right? Like it just sounds like such a silly class. But he took it because he thought it was cool and he loved it. And then when he started to take this class, he gained more of an appreciation for the art that comes in writing and different fonts and things like that. So he took it for a couple of years, not because he thought it was going to, greatly benefit his life or something like that, or be the catalyst that was going to change his whole life. He did it because he thought it was cool and he loved it. And it was something that, he was passionate about. Do you think he cared about what society thought about him wasting his time on calligraphy or what his friends thought? No. He's like, I'm going to do it because I love it. It's great. Well, fast forward a few years, they're trying to create this computer company. And, as you can imagine, it's probably not that easy to get a computer company off the ground. We take it for granted now. Everybody's got their computer at home and all that stuff. But back then they didn't, you might as well have been, producing flying cars, right? Like it probably sounded pretty ludicrous to most people. So imagine, how hard it would be to get that thing going, right? Get it off the ground. Everything sounds easy in hindsight, but back then, my God, what a daunting task. Do you know what got him on the map? Font. Different fonts. Back then, when there were just a couple of companies making computers, they all used one font. There was no options. It was just whatever letters, like they said one option for font. He thought back to his calligraphy class and he said, well, isn't this a shame that there's only one font available? Sounds silly. So they launched multiple fonts. They offered multiple fonts. And as a result, everybody who's in the printing world or the graphic design world or anything, like that in publishing, they all switched to Macs. They all switched to Apple computers. That was the catalyst. This is what he talks about in this speech. That was the catalyst to getting the traction that they needed to get this company going. Do you think that, he thought that taking this calligraphy class was going to be the catalyst for changing his whole life? No, of course not. He did it because he loved it. He just wanted to grow and improve and learn stuff, right? The moral of the story is none of us know how we're going to get to where we're supposed to go, right? None of us. This idea that you can map out every step of your life and you're going to have this and this and this and this and this, and this is when it's going to happen and this is how it's going to happen and I mean, you can do that and then go exactly where you think you're supposed to go. Or you can let passion drive the bus. And if you do it that way, one day you're going to wake up in a place that you can't even believe you're at. And you're going to find out that you got there simply by focusing on things that you love with people that you love. And you're going to grow into somebody that you didn't even know was there. You didn't even know was possible. And you'll look back on how you got there. And in hindsight, you can look back at the course that you took to get to where you are. You can look at it and you'll go, well, I couldn't have planned this out in a million years. How could I? But if you focus on the things that you love the most, if you do the things that you're the most passionate about, you do simply because you love them and you work hard at them, then chances are you're going to end up in a place that you love because you use the things you love to get there. It's highly, highly probable that that's going to be the result. So what sounds more fun? Plodding away on this course that you think you should do because, your dad did it or, these other people. That's their course. Pick your own. And let love and passion be your guide, right? The universe is going to take you. God's going to take you where you're supposed to go. And again, let's go back to arrogance. I don't care what higher power you believe in. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care whatever. Whether you just think that, the universe drives the bus, that there's a God, that your God is this, or I don't care. I don't care who it is. But I hope that you believe in something bigger than yourself. Right? I hope that you do. And then I also hope that if you do, you trust that thing, whatever that God is, whatever the universe, whatever that version is for you. I hope that you're humble enough to trust it. Again, let's talk about arrogance. Arrogance would be thinking that you know more than God, that you know more than the universe. You know best about what's right for you. And so you're going to decide, I'm going to do it this way. And you're going to have it all charted out and you think you've got it all planned. Well, if you do that, you're going to miss out on all the things that the universe has in store for you, all the gifts. You can chart your path to the letter if you want. And if you do that, you might end up right where, you think you want to go. But I think surrendering is much more fun. And if you surrender and you trust that you're going to end up in a great place, you focus your time and energy on just getting a little better each day, I think you're going to end up somewhere that you really love, somewhere that'll make you really, really happy. So, step one, get rid of the asshole, that little voice. Fuck him. He doesn't belong here. He's not coming. He's not welcome on this trip. 2, get a coach, get some mentors, right? You don't have to pay them. There are people that can guide you. Get people around you who will help you, who will help you get there. 3, focus on what you love. Really focus on what you love. Spend time doing that thing that you love every single day, and do it with people that you love. Surrender. Surrender knowing that if you keep doing this stuff and you work hard on the things that you love, that one day you're going to be in a place that you love. I talked on an episode, in a previous episode, I talked about outcome independence. It's one of the hardest things to learn, and I am far from having mastered this, right? It's a really hard thing to do. It's really something if you can get there. What outcome independence means is that you don't do the things that you're doing every day because you have a specific outcome in mind. You're not doing it because you've already planned that this is exactly where you're going to be and you're going to do all these things to get there. So you're there by this time and this date and this place and, whatever. If you're doing that, you're doing the work to get to somewhere that you've predetermined you need to go. And again, you can do that. But outcome independence means you've surrendered to not worrying about where you're going to go because you know you're going to end up somewhere great. So if you're really, truly have bought into outcome independence, what it means is you're going to do the work because the work is the right thing to do. You're going to do the right things every day. You're going to do the hard things every day. You're going to do the things you're most passionate about every day. And you're going to do the right things because it's the right thing to do. And you're going to let go of the outcome because you know that if you do those things every single day, you work to improve every single day, that the outcome that you're going to end up with, chances are it's something that you don't even know is possible. Something you haven't even considered yet. So if you're going to determine your own outcome, you're essentially putting a ceiling or a cap on where you could end up. But if you let go of the outcome, then you also let go of the limitations that come with it. Do you want to end up somewhere truly great, somewhere where you truly feel blessed? You have to let go of that outcome because chances are the outcome that you have in your head isn't even close to where it could be if you let go. It's hard to wrap your head around, I know. And this is something that I really struggle with. I had a friend who mentioned outcome independence to me last year, something that she was working on. And when I first heard about it, I was like, oh my God, it just sounds so impossible. Something that I'm personally really trying to work at, surrendering, letting go. It's not easy. But I can tell you that when you only focus on the work that has to be done each day, self-improvement, when you really get clear and focused on that, you end up going places that were better than you thought, no question. The universe and God, whatever is out there, whatever your version of that higher power is, they know best. So sometimes they're going to push you in places you don't want to be because it's the only path to getting where they know you should go. They have to push you out of your comfort zone. They have to take you places that you really don't want to be. But it's a great trade. You have to be uncomfortable a little bit in order to get somewhere great. It's a wonderful trade. Because the beauty of those points of discomfort is they're so temporary. They're so temporary. That discomfort is something that once it's gone, it's gone. But the reward is permanent. Maybe not permanent, but it lasts a lot longer, right? As long as you're on this earth, you get that reward. What a gift. And what a trade. You find me a better trade than that, honestly. Like, find me a better trade than that. Doesn't get any better. I mentioned earlier that you have to be humble enough to ask for help. I'm going to ask for help from you right now. So it's been really interesting getting the feedback that I've had from this podcast. The people who listen to it, most of them have really loved it. And I've had some wonderful conversations with people from really all over North America, people I, never would have met otherwise. It's really cool with such a small, limited amount of followers. So what I'm asking for you is help me grow this thing. Repost it, share it. If you think that the world would benefit, or that your friends or whatever would benefit from some of the messages that I've been sharing on here, please send it to your friends. I'll be grateful. I'll be so grateful to you. Send it. Please send it out. Help me build this army. Help me spread this word, and help me meet more people like you who can benefit from this. That's my ask of you. And I'd be grateful if you do it. And you yourself, please, if you're hearing this, follow, like, subscribe to the podcast notifications on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. I'd be grateful for it. I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening. It's such an honor to be a part of this thing, right? Like, I love where this thing is going, and that I get to play a role in getting these messages out. It really is humbling, and frankly, it really encourages me to stay on the path of doing the work and getting where I need to be, getting where the universe has getting to whatever the universe has in store for me. It's fun. It's fun to see. I'm continually surprised. So anyway, with that said, thank you for listening to the Army of Great Men podcast, and thanks for telling your friends. See you guys.